And we are live. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Dardish show. I am so excited for this episode today with the amazing Omar. What's up, my man?
What is up, baby? How you
How's
doing?
it going, my man?
Good. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Habibi, man. Wallah, I'm excited too, man. Welcome to the Dardish show, a place to sit back, relax, and enjoy a good conversation.
My name's Omar Hamada. As for myself, I don't think I've quite reached self-actualization just yet. But I think I've kind of built this persona as this kid that kind of, popped up in Kuwait and has an admiration for fitness and is kind of using, I guess, his skill sets within the health and wellness industry at the moment.
Boom, he jumped into self-actualization.
Bam.
Just
yeah,
like
I mean, myself. I don't think I've reached it yet. I think I'm getting there.
Do you think that's what life is all about, reaching self-actualization?
Figuring out who you are, I think it's very helpful to try to understand.
So what's your story, bro?
My story?
Yeah, I like hearing stories, man.
Yeah, so I'm half American, half Kuwaiti. I grew up in the States. My mom's American. I grew up in the States, Louisville, Kentucky, to be exact. Graduated from college, Lexington, Kentucky, and then after college, I moved to Kuwait, and I've been here the past 3 years.
3 years?
Almost 3 years.
What made you come back to Kuwait?
It just felt right. I feel like I didn't want to live my whole life without giving Kuwait a chance. I lived here when I was younger, like kindergarten, some of third grade, and then I started visiting throughout high school and college, like once a year.
Okay.
And then after, it was probably my freshman year of college when I visit. In the winter, I realized that, I wanted to move here after college. So I graduated from college and came over here.
And how was Kuwait?
To the desert.
To the desert. Do a lot of people think of Kuwait as a desert?
Yeah,
still?
for sure.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Especially in the States, man, social media has helped a lot because it's helped people, I guess, kind of see what other places are like. But yeah, they do, I think.
This whole region, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
This entire region.
The Middle East.
Wow, and how was Kuwait for the first year, a couple of months living? You lived alone, right?
Yeah, it was hard, man. I didn't know a lot of people. It's like I kind of left my whole friend group, my whole group of friends, my whole circle, kind of jumped into this new place not really knowing what to expect. But at the same time, it was very humbling for me. I was like, that's what I wanted. I was ready for it because I kind of wanted just to restart and really just sit with myself, and figure out what I was about and what I wanted to do. And it was kind of the perfect place to do that. How cool is that? Imagine moving somewhere else and just completely restarting and no one knows who you are really. And, it's cool.
It is a very cool idea.
It's scary though, man. I'm not gonna lie. The first year was hard. Like not knowing anyone, getting used to how things were. And then I had thoughts. I'm like, oh, okay, Kuwait is like this. And then I get to know more people. And I'm like, you know what? It's actually not what I initially thought. It's actually way cooler. I like it.
Cool. Yeah, man, I think Kuwait is one of those places you either like or don't. It's just, I love Kuwait, man. It's I don't know.
There's a lot of cool people here.
Yeah,
it really is.
I think it's about the people you know anywhere in the world. I think you could really not enjoy a country if you're surrounded. But how was leaving your friends that you've been with ever since you were a kid? Like, I don't know if I'll be able to do that.
And family.
My
mom, my sister.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the hardest part.
Did they visit?
No, not yet. My mom used to visit here, but my sister, no, she's never been here. Maybe one day she'll come soon. Yeah. We kind of meet halfway. Like I met her in Barcelona.
Oh, nice.
That was my first trip I took. I had to go see my sister.
Nice.
But yeah, that was the hardest thing. And then of course my friends, but I was kind of ready at that point. I was like, it's kind of how I am too. It's like, okay, khalas, I've been there for how many years? 23 years. I'm ready for this next step. I'm ready to do something different because I know and I understand that you only grow from those kind of experiences, and that's kind of what I was craving. I wanted to grow. I wanted to kind of advance myself.
I like that.
I thought that was the
right thing to do. You're kind of zen. And you're
Yeah, you
very
think so?
calm, and is it? But he dances and he's.
Am I floating?
No, the thing is, I wanted to ask you: have you always been this aware, this grounded? That's a better word, I think. Grounded.
Grounded. I think so, in a way. Like it's always been there somewhere. I think, I don't know, once I started just doing things like, instead of like going out all the time, like spending more time reading, it's like I really got hooked on a bunch of things, and I liked the feeling of growing, you know, like bettering myself and then using that benefit to help others around me. You know, it like feels good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of what I got into, and I'm like, okay, how can I do that? What things help that? So I just kind of, I don't know, changed my habits a little bit, my routines, and kind of became more of who I was, in a sense. I don't know, but yeah, I'm always kind of like chill. I'm not really hot-headed. Like.
And what about growth? When you talk about growth, I mean, there are so many aspects. So which areas in your life did you really focus on when it came to growth? Was it your health? Was it your education, finance, emotional intelligence? Which areas in your life did you really enjoy growing in?
Yeah, those are all important. It definitely started with fitness, I think, because I've always kind of had an athletic background, and I was always doing that since I was like 5. I was playing football or soccer and kind of messing around with all sports with friends. And it was kind of in college when I wasn't doing that as professionally, like not with a club team or anything. Like I had more of a social life, but then I kind of found myself when I went back into playing more sports and getting more involved. I kind of realized everything that it did for me as a person. And it teaches you a lot of things, like being on a team, having a coach, watching film, like introspection. I think introspection is very important. It's like I didn't realize it at the time when I was in high school and stuff, but I mean, watching film and like having someone coach you and correct you, I guess, for mistakes in like the film, the camera doesn't lie, you know?
Wow.
And it's like you have to accept that and then learn how to improve and learn what to do better for the team, for yourself, you know? And that, I mean, that's a very important lesson. It's like I just started realizing these things. I was like, oh, okay, like that's pretty important. Like, let me understand that and try to use that for myself in different ways. So
it's like,
yeah, that's where
it's like feedback, being able to accept feedback for you to be able to grow at such a young age. And what other things? I mean, I completely believe in, if you're into fitness or and practicing any sort of discipline through exercise, it's like a ripple effect. It affects every other area in your life. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, especially like you were in a team, part of a team, and acknowledging the fact that having a coach is important for you to be able to see the things that you weren't able to see. So let's talk more about that, man. So
okay,
how because you coach people now, right?
Yep.
As a PT?
PT, and I'm a spin instructor as well. Okay. So a little bit of both.
Okay. And what are things that you realize in your clients after they start a journey with you, or some things that you realize?
Well, I mean, granted, I've only been in the health and wellness industry per se for a little less than a year now. So, I mean, I still have so much to learn. There's still so much to learn. There's always so much to learn. But with the little time that I've been in it, I've also realized a lot as well. And I think within the industry, I think there's a lot of room for, I guess, progressive change. Because right now, I think there's kind of some flaws within like the whole concept of wellness. Personally, I think there's a big misconception right now behind what wellness is and what it means. You know, in my opinion, right now, it feels kind of like this trendy, affluent buzzword that's kind of just thrown around, and almost, in a sense, seems a bit selfish sometimes. Like, oh, am I getting my green juice? Like, oh, am I getting my massage? Or like, oh, am I taking my classes here? And honestly, I don't think that's what wellness is about. You know, I think it's actually the opposite of selfish. I think it's, of course, first taking care of yourself and then expanding that outwards. So I'm still trying to articulate this because I think about it a lot with being so in it, but I kind of view wellness as this like multi-pronged structure that first starts with the self and then expands outwards and takes other things into account, like your micro community, social justice, your relationship with the environment. So of course, yes, it first starts with taking care of the self and then taking care of other things around you. I think that's the whole purpose of, I think that's what wellness is and what it means. Does that make sense?
That is beautiful, man. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. I love the fact that you said micro community, social justice. So let's talk more about how can they actually intertwine.
How can they intertwine? So when I break it down for people, like with clients, like I'll only go as deep as they want to go, you know? Like I'm there to like help talk through things. Like if you want to go that deep, like I'll go that deep. If not, like, well, I'll just do my job type of thing. But like with friends, like I'm harassing them about this kind of stuff all the time because I think it's interesting. So how to take care of the self, right? I said start with the self. I would put it in 3 categories. I would first start with the food, okay? So the food you eat, food you're consuming. And then second, I would go to physical activity, general fitness. And then for the last one, I would say stress, you know, how to reduce stress. I would say those are the 3 most important categories for the self, the person to focus on. First, starting with food, because I think food is the most important thing. I think, like, if you think about it, it's really the way for, it's like the first step for anybody or any like subjugated population to really reclaim their freedom, you know, reclaim their autonomy in, say, like a food culture / society that doesn't really put your health as its first priority. You know, it's kind of commodified, it's transactional. It's not made, the food system isn't made for a healthier you. You know, you gotta understand that. And I think try to put the foods in your body that are made for, I mean, the research shows it. Like all the research is out now, the food you eat has a direct correlation and impact with your brain, your body, your mind. So, I mean, think about that first, kind of food you're eating, right? Understand that, exactly, I think, is the first thing. The food industry
is not there to make you healthier, that's a huge. And I like how you said reclaim your freedom.
Yeah, I think it's the first step.
What do you mean by that?
Reclaim your freedom. Because so the way food affects your mind, body, and brain, it has an effect on that, right? So as a person, people are always like, what's the first thing I can do? I'm like, all right, focus on what you're eating. Okay, and you'll start to feel better. You'll start to do all these things that can lead and have a cumulative effect towards being more well. And a big thing people do now, they're like, okay, diet. Like, I'm gonna do this diet. I'm not, like, me personally, I'm not a big diet guy. I'm more of like all right, I'm gonna create a certain like habit within my lifestyle of eating. Like, I don't wanna go straight to a diet, but I think regardless of your method of eating, I think it's important to understand how you relate with the world and then try to be a bit more, I guess, humane about your buying practices. I'm going really deep here, but it's not like we exist outside of the world, you know? It's not the situation where there's people and then there's the world, you know? Yeah. No, it's like there's this natural connection, symbiosis, like there's this natural connection that we have with the earth, and I think you have to treat that with some degree of respect. And then think about the food you're eating, because the food, how can I say, it's the food that you consume. When you consume, you're taking away from the earth, right? When you're consuming this food. So I think you should be a bit more mindful about how you're doing that and what that is. And then the actual food itself is like, I think of food like data. You know, it's like you want to input the best quality data into your system. And more often than not, that's nutrient dense, plant-based foods, plant gang. Plant gang, the gang way.
That's dope, but I love how you put it, honestly. And
I mean, that's how I break it down, so I can make sense out of it.
And I realize that you're very visual.
So,
and I realize that you see it in your head before actually explaining it.
Yeah, I was that kind of kid in class. Like I had to draw, I had to see. I can't. Like whenever someone tells me things, I try to visualize it.
I'm like that, but 100%. If you look behind you, you'll realize that I can't.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
I can't. I need to put things in front of me and see it.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, we were over here the other night, and you just, let's go to the board and draw this out.
Yeah, I mean, it does give you some sort of clarity. I don't know. Maybe there's something about writing things down. You know, you've heard all of those research about writing things down. But I think that food is one of the hardest disciplines to acquire. Because when you're hungry, you're a completely different person. You know?
Facts.
So when you're able to conquer that discipline in your life, everything else is easy. So
for sure, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I agree, actually. It is kind of like a discipline. Because even I noticed when I started trying to eat healthier, it's like you're just a bit more, you're more mindful about it. You know, and it's like, you know how they say practice things that sucks? Yeah, it sucks that you can't have this, but it's a good thing, discipline to do. And yeah, it is a discipline.
Yeah,
I think
being able to say no, man. Like when you see somebody that's consistently slacking, and when you give them a cup of coffee with sugar or anything, they're not able to say no to these small things in life. I mean, it kind of makes you respect somebody more when they're able to say no to these small things. Yeah. It's pretty tricky because the smallest things in life are usually the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
It's like literally just drinking one extra glass of water, waking up half an hour earlier, brushing your teeth. These things are like, won't take more than 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But they're pretty hard to do. So I think, like you said, they're all connected. It starts with the food, and then I think it's connected to self-worth and self-respect. Because if you're not able to keep the promises you tell yourself, how would you be able to look yourself in the mirror?
Yeah. And feel good.
Feel good
about yourself.
Exactly. Like confidence, I think it's being able to keep the promises you keep to yourself.
For sure.
It has nothing to do with how you look, how you walk, how you portray yourself. Like you can see people that are confident in their own arenas that might not have that confident portray that people usually think about. But because they're able to say no, they know that if they say something, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So I think these small things really connect to
self-actualization.
Yes! You're right, man.
I work towards it. Yeah,
I mean,
it's important.
I think that is the, I don't want to say most important goal, but it's essential to just get to know yourself, man.
For sure.
Get to know your mind, get to know your insecurities, get to know your thoughts, the monkey in our minds.
Yeah.
We were even talking about something before the show about entrepreneurs. And you told me that you used to sell juice. You used to hustle.
Cold pressed juices. That was my first side hustle in Kuwait.
No way.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Tell me about it.
It was crazy. I was working at a bank at the time.
All right.
That's what I did when I first moved here. And I just kind of realized that it wasn't for me. So I was like, all right, first step. It really made me evaluate myself. I was like, okay, first step, like, what can I do to get out of this situation? It's like, I'm going to do something I'm more passionate about. And yeah, I started a cold pressed juicery on the side and was slanging juices out of my kitchen. I had a whole process. Like, I'd always been around it. My mom's like super health conscious, so it was something that had always been around me growing up.
Really?
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, this makes sense. This fits with me, because it's like, I feel like my whole purpose is like what drives me in everything I do. It's like, okay, if I can better myself and use that benefit to help other people around me, I'm cool with it. If I don't feel like that's happening, then something's off. I'm not cool with it. And like selling juices fit that thing. It's like, okay, these are healthy. Like, I get to like have access to these, and I can share it with other people as well for to benefit them. So yeah, it was cool.
It aligns with your
learned a lot.
Zanny.
Yeah, for sure. Learned a lot in the process. We did some events like Kuwait markets, like popped up here and there, and like we're selling online.
Was it you alone?
No, I had 2 other partners. Yeah. So we come home after work.
Start juicing.
Start juicing away.
Making a mess in the kitchen, huh?
And we did almond milk too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and that was the best seller.
Damn.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy to make the almond milk, right?
Yeah, but we got a special recipe, my brother.
No way.
Yeah.
It's not just almond milk, huh?
It's not just your regular. We got a little.
That's your sales pitch.
Little touch.
Nice. So how do you sell it, man? Like if you started a business like cold-pressed juices, how are you able to make people want that product? Like, how did you guys start? Was it friends? Was it
just kind of? It's like, first you gotta. I mean, with me and everything I do, I reversed engineered it. So I was like, okay, long term, this is where we want to be, and then I kind of worked backwards and outlined all the steps it would take to get there. So that's where I start first with everything. That's where we started with that. And then we just started at the beginning. And in Kuwait, of course, was through Instagram first. Before that, it was just like doing it for family and friends, testing the product, getting feedback. And, like starting any business, there's a certain kind of like protocol you have if you're trying to run a certain system that you try to follow to try to get whatever you're trying to accomplish out of it, whether it's growth or whether it's sales or whether it's connections, relationships, kind of following that process.
That makes sense. Especially when it comes to juices, you can take them to work.
Yeah, that's what I did that.
Yeah. Did you guys start with the almond milk?
I did that as well. No, we just sold 4 juices. It was like a house-made orange juice, 2 green juices, and 1 almond milk. Was there anything else? No, I think that was it.
Simple and clear.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's good. It was refreshing.
Nice.
It's a hard business though, man. It's not.
It's a hard,
fresh ingredients in Kuwait. It's very difficult to acquire. Expensive.
Like, I know a friend that runs Superfoods.
I love Superfoods.
It's an amazing brand.
She's doing a great job. Yeah.
Amazing brand. It's not an easy company though. It's not an easy product to sustain.
Sure. Operations is no. Trust me. I was in it. I know it's not easy. Yeah.
It's crazy, huh? Being able to,
I was actually at Superfoods the other day.
No way.
Yeah.
Shout out to Superfoods.
Shout out to Superfoods one time.
That's dope, man. So we were even talking about something about the entrepreneurs in Kuwait. And then you said that even if you don't want to start a business, it's good to have the qualities of an entrepreneur.
For sure. Definitely. I think, it's just the landscape that we're in today. I think it's an important quality to sort of have.
So what are some of the qualities that entrepreneurs usually have?
Being an entrepreneur, it's a lot. I think you kind of have to have and understand, you kind of have to wear all hats, So it's like you got to understand marketing, you got to understand sales, you got to understand how to connect with people, how to create a movement, how to hire, how to delegate tasks. There's many different things an entrepreneur has to try to deal with and understand. But it's a beneficial skill to understand and know, so you can, we're living in a world today where you can basically do anything you want.
Yep.
Like if you have something that you like and you're passionate about, there's other people that you can share that with. Oftentimes you can make some money from it, but the most important thing is you're doing something you're passionate about and you can share it with other people.
I love that you see it like that, man. Like everything you do or want to do is connected to other people and giving back to the community. I like that. Like
wellness, it's not selfish.
Sorry?
Wellness, I think it's what being well is. It's like, I think the book you lended to me, it's a great book, by the way. Expert Secrets.
Shout out to Russell Brunson.
Yeah, he's a G. I'd never heard of him, but I like what I'm reading so far. I think it was the first page because he's talking about being an expert, and he was like, yes, as an expert, you can only learn so much, but you'll only truly be fulfilled once you learn how to share that with other people as well. And I think that holds true for a lot things in life. I feel like that's the whole purpose, the whole spirit of life is giving. You know, what's that quote? You can't pour from an empty cup. So take care of yourself first.
And
that
pour.
kind of thing. And pour.
Pour.
Give.
Yeah, man.
Like that's what will really full circle everything for you. And that's what I feel about wellness. I'm like, it seems too selfish right now. I feel like I'm creating some kind of philosophy.
That's amazing. No, it's so true, man.
Yeah.
Like wellness is not, like you're portraying wellness as, and entrepreneurship can be part of wellness. Giving back to community can be part of wellness, and eating clean. The last thing could be maybe just going to the gym and working out. That's the part of wellness. So I like how you see it in a holistic approach, and everybody is potentially an expert. Because how I see an expert is you only have to be a few steps ahead to be able to teach. So if it's like Leonardo DiCaprio in his movie Catch Me If You Can, when they caught him and they told him, all right, so you were a pilot, you were a driver, you were whatever, but how were you a professor teaching in a university? And then he said, and he used to give exams, tests, and then he said, it's simple. I used to only be one chapter ahead of the students.
Facts.
So when you think about that, it's true, it's crazy. Like people have the illusion of knowledge of thinking that they'll need to learn more, go to more courses, teach more people for them to be able to be credible or be an expert in their field.
Or be helpful. And that's not the truth. It's like there's always a certain group of people that are a little step under you that would like to have the knowledge and wisdom that you have. Like you don't have to go. I mean, that's so true. I agree.
I love that you said helpful. And it's you're just helping people. That's the objective of the end goal of giving back to community, and that does make sense, man. So how's the book going?
Good.
Yeah? So the book is about online marketing, direct response marketing, and Russell Brunson is one of the best in the world, and he talks a lot about building a community and how important it is to build your own tribe. What do you guys think about that, since you guys built an amazing tribe in the past year and a half?
Yeah, no, it's important. You guys as in
cycling.
Cycling?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think it's important to kind of, like, I think what's actually going on at its core is that you're kind of just being a helping hand and inspiring people to believe in their full potential, whether that be through a spin class, conversation, PT session. I think that's kind of what it is at its core. And then it's great and amazing to see that build outwards for them, and like even for yourself, it feels good. So
yeah, man, it does feel good, man, when you see somebody just shining, or just seeing what they didn't see before, just getting them out of the way of themselves and just letting them fly. Creating
a space that can do that for people.
I love that.
I know where we're going with this.
Yo, don't
get me started. Don't get me started.
Yo, you know when it comes to space, I like creating space. I'm all about space.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think it's important, and I think it's a good initiative. Especially, I mean, you see people doing it, like say the Hot app, for example. Saw you had Hind on here the other day. She's great. They're great. I love what they're doing.
Yeah, man.
It's a good initiative, making fitness more accessible.
Yep.
For everyone. And I mean, same thing goes in a spin studio, making it more accessible for everyone instead of the opposite, which I think is not helpful or good for your economy or whatever reason. No, I don't want to go there, bro. Don't make me go there.
Honestly, man, I don't think you guys...
I'm the frog with the T right now.
I don't think you...
But that's none of my business.
I don't think you guys are selling a spinning class. All right, so we're talking about the amazing studio life cycle. And I've been there a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and I realized that you guys are not selling spinning. You guys are selling an experience.
For sure.
So that's something that I realized that was just beautiful, And when it comes to being a PT, Do you realize, because I used to be a PT back in 2012, and
Okay.
do you realize that creating that space that you just mentioned for them to be able to talk, for them to be able to realize their full potential is a huge part of being a PT trainer?
Yeah. The thing with PT, and you probably understand this, it's you kind of have to be like, you kind of have to understand the sport of life.
This dude is just dropping bombs,
Right?
What the hell is
Seriously though, like,
I know,
to
you're right.
really help them, it's like you can't be so one-dimensional. It's like you kind of have to understand the full spectrum of what you're dealing with to really help them. Like I said, I only go as deep as people want to go, but with being a PT, that's one important factor. So you have to realize all of those things, I think.
And at the same time be able to balance the discipline part of you needing to push them out of their comfort zone and be a bit hard on them sometimes, out of like finding that perfect dance.
For sure. And it's like you want to create that environment because it fits into those three categories I was talking about, right? The food, first thing, which we covered, and then there's physical activity and stress. You want to create that environment that's not stressful for them. You know, you want to reduce that stress. So, I mean, that involves like how you communicate with them, like checking up on them, making sure they're okay. And then also like the physical activity, the stuff you're doing, is it correct and is it helping them? And it's like if you're not, especially with the stress, if you're not helping them with on that end, you're not going to see results. And you're not going to see results with your food or with the fitness if you're really high stress. Like I know a lot of people, they work their ass off, and can I cuss on here? Of course not. They work their butt off in the gym, and they have a pretty good diet, but they're so high stressed that it's preventing them from reaching those results that they're looking for in those areas, because biologically our body doesn't respond well to stress. So it makes it, if you're very high stress, it's harder to get results in those other areas, food and fitness.
And do you think it's something people could actually control? Like,
What?
I know stress is something that it could be
Talk about lifting weights, fam. That is, stress is a heavy weight.
Yeah, man.
It's no joke.
Yeah, man. And I think that that's one of the things that yesterday even Tamara and I were talking about, how 3,000-4,000 years ago, the stress that we used to feel on our bodies for it to evolve was physical. So it was from the environment, the temperature, everything around you, the clothes. But now we choose the temperature. Even when we're taking a shower, it's too cold, it's too warm, I want it to be exactly like it's like I go inside. So when it comes to the environment, we're not stressing our body to evolve in that sense. But in this era that we're going through now in humanity, in this technology era, which will be remembered throughout history, which will be written throughout history, and remember that we lived in this crazy era of technology.
Transitional period.
The only stress that we have is stress on our brains. So when they say survival of the fittest, it's not physical. It's the ones that can't take the stress.
Preach.
It's crazy. Think about it, man.
Yeah.
Like the ones that, but what happens to those who can't take stress? They get depressed. So the weak gene are the ones that can't take the stress.
Yeah.
It's a crazy concept to think about.
It's crazy, and that's why I think stress reduction is so important in understanding it. You asked me if I think it's something you can control. I think it's more of something you can set up an infrastructure for. You know, it's like you're your first business, you're the CEO. Whenever there's alarming situations, you have a protocol. And I think high stress situations or stress in general, it's like you should have certain protocols that you put in place. And like we all do that to try to reduce that stress. So I think you should go from there and then try to implement some of those practices, whether like for me, it's like meditation, going to yoga, my diet, different strategies, mental contrasting, like this, that, like there's other things. It's definitely trial and error, but something you got to try to set up an infrastructure for to reduce. And
I love that.
what you said about the evolution part is interesting. I posted an article the other day on my Instagram about that. I'd never really read a lot about that, but it's really interesting. It talked about how, like, the past 200,000 years, it basically said our brains were basically designed to deal with like an immediate return environment. So it's like what you're saying, back in the day, 500 years ago, okay? And back, it's like, okay, everything was pretty immediate.
Yep.
You know, you were hungry, you went and found food, got your food, bing, stress relieved. You needed shelter. Oh, it's raining. I need shelter. Shelter found.
The dinosaur followed you right now. You need to escape right now.
Yeah, and it's like that stress was created to get you out of situations, you know? And now, the past 500 years, our environment has changed into, what did it say? It said this, I think it termed it delayed return environment. So that's now, we're in the case where we like ponder and think of stuff in the long term. It's delayed, it's not immediate, and that's what stresses us out. So instead of immediate returns, it's like we're thinking, okay, like say you're on a safari and you see a giraffe or something. I think this is what I was saying. It was like, okay, you see it and you think, oh, that's a nice, pretty giraffe. You're like, oh, how much do I love animals? Could I be like a wildlife person? Like, could this be my career? Should I do this? Like, we start thinking of all these things in the future, longing for them, and it stresses us out, you know, more so than, say, like an animal or something. They freak out, khalas, like a deer in headlights freaks out, and then you see it a second later, is when it's safe, it's just grazing, it's back to being chilled out. We shouldn't be this stressed. We're basically at the top of the food chain. Like,
exactly, man. And but why do you think nature? Because I think we can't separate even this phase that we're going through from nature, right? Like, why do humans think of the future? I think it's a survival mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, why do we think of the future? I think it's because, I mean, it's just the environment that we've created now. It's different, and we're still adjusting to it. It's like we haven't figured out. You're talking about, okay, 500 years may seem like a long time, but if you look at the grand scheme of things, 500 years compared to 200,000 years, that's
nothing.
It's nothing.
Or 11 million years.
You know what I'm saying? And like, we used to do things, and now technology makes a lot of things easier. You know, like they get done for us. So it's like we're longing about things in the future more so than we ever did.
Very true.
Right?
Very true.
I think that's what stresses us out.
Yeah, man. It's like us having assumptions.
How to deal with it is the question. I think that's why I think it's important to try to understand. Like, how do I question it? Like, how do I deal with these kind of things? Go on your phone, get on Google. Like, you're feeling some type of way, like, Google it.
Deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. A lot of people, like, they don't deal with their shit, bro.
There's a bunch of shit that they leave hanging.
I know. It's like this little thing looming on their shoulder. And even for me, sometimes I'll admit it. And it's like, you got to look at it in the face. You know, you gotta look at it in the face and deal with it and see, like, what it means, what's going on, what can you do, because you gotta level up. You can't have this thing looming all the time, because that's what's stressing you out. Like, deal with it, face forward.
Bro, that's beautiful.
And level up, come on, like.
That's beautiful. Like, look at it in the face.
Yeah.
Period.
For sure.
Done. Simple. Just look at it in the face. Be real with yourself, guys.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's hard.
Because when you think of relationships, for example, relationships, I think, is one of the most common stressors. Relationship with yourself, with your spouse, with your kids, with your parents, with your job. So all of these things, because relationship is connection. Funny enough, when you ask people about relationships, they connect it to a partner straight away. Just so love, when you ask love, it's all about the partner.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so relationships, I think, that are the biggest stressors. So our brains, I believe that it's not meant to take care of, make us happy. It's just meant to keep us alive and reproduce. So what it's
Wait, say that again? You don't believe that it's meant
to make us happy? It's meant to keep us alive and reproduce.
Okay.
So when I give my brain a situation, an idea, a thought in the future, oh, my brain is gonna play with it and mess it up for me real fast. Oh, you have an interview with this person. Oh, Aid, what if this happens? Oh, Aid, you're not gonna know what to say.
Sure.
So it's just setting up all of these future scenarios just to protect me, Maskeen. Yani, poor little brain. His job is just, Aid, be careful, man. Like, what if this happens? So sometimes you're just gonna have to listen to those things, because I believe that fear is very healthy. Like, if I want to prepare for a presentation and I'm not afraid, I don't give a damn about what they'll think. That won't make me want to perfect it.
Yeah.
So fear, I think it's healthy, but entertaining certain thoughts, I think, is very unhealthy.
For sure.
Like what you said, self-actualization. When you're able to know which thoughts to entertain and which not to entertain, that's when you're able to actually start making some moves when it comes to reducing stress.
Yeah, and leveling up. Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree.
لأن man, relationships الحين when it comes to social media, like, I feel like I don't know how to.
You do a great job with that, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Bridging connections and relationships.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Like, looking from the outside, like me, I see that. You do a pretty good job with that.
Well, Dardish, this is a huge platform. It helps me a lot.
Yeah.
Connect to people. Wallah, man. Like, I was talking about that. Like, imagine having conversations for an hour and a half. It's just such a gift, I think, you know?
Yeah.
Especially juicy conversations, you know? But so what do you think of relationships and social media?
What do I think about relationships and social media?
Yeah.
In what sense?
How social media is having an impact on relationships?
It's definitely, in my opinion, I think it's strengthening it. Like, I mean, it can also harm it as well. Like, there's obviously two sides.
But I like that
to
you
the
chose
story.
that positive part first.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's like, think about how to use it in the best way. Like, people give it a lot of flake, like, try to talk bad about it. Okay, yes, it can be very negative, 100%. But it's your job to look at it in a positive sense and use it that way. And it can be used, you know? And it's like, I think everyone deals with these kind of things. Like, even me, it's social media is new. It's like, okay, we're on it, using it. And sometimes you do feel some type of way from being on it so much. So you have to realize that, look it in the face, like, okay, how can I use this in the best possible way for myself? For some people, it's not using it at all. For some, it's using it differently. But as far as relationship goes, it's amazing. Like, especially for me, it's like, I just know some people through online, and like, we talk, we have good discussions. Like, you post something you're interested in, someone talks to you back. Like, I love everything about that. It's great. That's something we've never had, you know, and it helps a lot.
That's a beautiful perspective, especially since you have family in the States. And think about that.
And friends.
I
feel like, honestly, like, with social media, it's like, they're like, okay, like, I talk to them when I go back home. Like, okay, I know you moved far away and everything, but I feel like you're right here. Like,
it's so true,
like,
man.
I see you every day. Like,
exactly.
Thing.
Like, friends know everything that's going on in my life. تقريبا, not everything, but like, from social media, and it's a blessing. I agree with you, man.
It's so cool.
What the German Mr. Bergener, the German ambassador, when I had him on the show, and he was talking about how he was an ambassador back.
Wait, you had who on the show?
Mr. Bergener.
Mr. Bergener?
Yeah, he's an amazing
cool
dude.
Name.
Right? So humble, man.
He's a German ambassador?
Yeah.
Nice.
And he was telling me how back in the early 90s, how he was an ambassador, or he worked for the embassy, but the communication with his family was so hard. For him to talk to his family every minute. Do you remember? Like, you had to pay so much money.
I was in that. You had to buy cards. You had to buy cards. Bro, my mom, like, she used to send VHS tapes, like, in the mail, and like, let you see how we're doing back home. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like back in the day, I love that.
That's crazy. Those home videos are hilarious, by the way. Oh my god.
No way. She used to do that?
So funny, yeah.
Yo, that's dope.
Yeah, man.
We should keep those.
That's what you had to do back then. Oh, we do. We did keep them.
Nice.
I need to convert them to like CD or like to the computer or something, so they're saved forever. It's so funny, but yeah, that's where we were at. And think about it, how quickly what's it gonna be like in 20 years?
don't know, man.
I don't know,
man. That's gonna be fun.
I can't wait.
Do you know what I'm thinking?
I'm ready for whatever.
I'm thinking like just before we go, like just before khalas we're out.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Good. I mean,
to a point where we're like, all right, I think we're good. I think I'm had enough.
With the rate at which way things are changing and like exponential change, for example, like in what areas that can change some things, like man, in the next, I'm talking like 10, 20 years, a lot of different things can get pretty weird pretty quickly. Like, I mean, we're talking like aging, we're talking VR, we're talking like a bunch of different things that can just change the whole landscape. Yeah, man. Consciousness
in a jar.
Like, it's crazy. It's super interesting though. Ray Criswell, have you heard of him?
No.
He has a bunch, like he's a futurist. You don't have to believe everything he's saying, but read it and see. Like, he has a lot of interesting things that he thinks like are gonna occur in the near future.
Well, it's very interesting.
It's very interesting to read.
I think that there are certain things that are going to happen very soon, which is like us stop writing. Maybe even talking. Like, I think that, imagine having
us stop like not writing or talking?
Yeah,
What's up, buddy? Hey.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, I mean, like, just before newspapers were invented or like books were invented, like if you think we're in a phase where they needed newspapers in the early 1900s. Are you good with cats?
I don't know, man. They're just kind of like.
He's liking you, man.
Yeah,
he's
cool.
Do you like dogs?
Me, yes, I love dogs. Me and cats, I don't know. I feel like we just don't vibe.
I think it's one-sided, man.
I
think he really likes you.
Yeah, I think he's trying to be cool. I don't.
Yeah. Look at that. He's like, hey, give me some love. Put your hand there, man. There you go. I'm serious. They're cool, man.
Woo! Come on, me and cats, man. We haven't worked out our relationship yet. You know.
Have you tried?
I don't think we vibe that well.
I think it's one-sided. I mean, this dude loves you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I was allergic as a kid, but I don't think it's so bad anymore. I'm still here, right? My eyes. Good.
You're not allergic, bro. I've seen people who came to my house.
What's his name?
He's Mufasa, and it seems like he likes what you're saying. Mufasa. Yeah, man, they're part of the Dardish show too, man. But it's, yeah, man, I mean, like, kids are considered illiterate when they're not able to use an iPad. Not being able to read or write.
I really wonder. I think about that sometimes. I wonder, like, what it's like in school nowadays with using iPads and technology, because it's probably completely different than when we were going to school. You know, they don't teach kids. I don't know actually if this is 100% true, but I heard it. I don't know if they teach kids cursive anymore in school. Cursive.
What does that mean?
Cursive writing. You know, like where you're connecting the letters.
Oh!
Yeah.
No way!
I think it's gonna be.
Have that in Arabic, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're already connected. But yeah, cursive in English. It's like, I don't think they teach it anymore in schools. It's kind of, they're like, oh, this is pointless. So I think it's a lost art.
Well, it is, but
I mean, it is kind of pointless if you think about it.
It was just to make you write faster.
Yeah, or just to, I guess.
I
guess that was the whole concept behind it. I don't know. Just doing it.
You're right. I mean, that's an interesting point.
It's interesting. But yeah, that's interesting that you think that. Writing, so you don't think we'll be writing or what?
Talking. Why would we write? I mean, we barely write nowadays. You can type even on your phone.
Oh, you're talking about actually writing, yeah.
Even on your phone. And talking, communicating is going to be all through a chip in our heads that I'm going to send you stuff. I want to send you a picture. I'll be like,
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, I messed up. I send you another picture. I'm like, oh shit, don't see it.
Hope there's like sound effects. you know?
That's what I want. I would love to just add sound effects to life. Like
Yeah.
if I see somebody walking, I could just put that in slow motion and just add some music.
Don't talk about slow motion.
That'll be dope.
What if you could have any superpower? What would it be?
Flying.
Flying.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I don't want to live forever. I'm good.
I'm straight.
I'm good.
Flying,
I'm
really?
halfway through, bro. I'm good.
So you would want to fly everywhere.
Oh yeah. Not everywhere. I just want to fly.
Okay.
Whenever I wanted to.
And then you would be that guy that's flying every. You know how much attention that is? Would you want to deal with all that attention? You'd be like, hey, this is the guy that can fly. Like, would you want that?
Are we gonna be the only dude that can fly? I'm sure there'll be a bunch of dudes upstairs.
I mean, that's your superpower, bro. We're not granting like anyone else superpowers. That's
Who's
it.
we?
Hey,
We're not granting anyone else.
Aladdin's about to drop. You know, I'm feeling like Will Smith.
I'm not talking about a magic carpet heavy. I'm talking about having wings and flying.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Like when I used to do visualizations and meditating, I used to always think of me being an eagle that's flying high and then so close to the water. I don't know, that idea of me just flying.
That would be
so
cool.
fast. Yeah, man. I don't know.
sick.
That just comes to my mind when I start visualizing stuff. But it's pretty interesting. I mean, because do you believe in past lives? Do you believe in reincarnation?
I don't know. I'm kind of a bit like I'm kind of an absurdist
What does that mean?
when it comes to that. I think it's a philosophy basically, but I think the world. I don't know. I think it's too complex. I kind of think it's too complex for us to try to understand. So it's like we got to find meaning out of our everyday lives, type of thing. So it's like the purpose of life and the lack of purpose is at conflict with each other. So it's like too much to even try to comprehend or figure out. And it's like, okay, like if you believe that, like cool, believe in it and like let it feel right with you and take the good out of it and khalas, move forward.
Beautiful, man.
You know, because there's a lot that's hard to understand.
And it's
a lot
so
of stuff going on.
Not to understand.
Yeah,
There's a
so
lot
it's
of-
like they're at conflict, the purpose and lack. It's like it's constantly. That's what I think.
That's a beautiful way to put it. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And I see so many people that, me, myself personally, when I didn't know what was my quote-unquote purpose, which I don't think now we need one because it keeps changing. So yeah, you can say that my purpose is to serve, is to be an artist, is to express what is inside me, and then khalas, you just stop there and just live your life.
See what happens. Yeah.
See what happens, and you can express it through talking, through dancing, through writing, through painting, through creating art, through creating Dardish, through whatever you want, through helping people
For sure.
have better, healthier lives. So I think it could just, you're right, man. It could be very, very stressful to not have certain answers,
Yeah.
especially with the spiritual movement that's been happening past 5 years or like 10 years, which I think is beautiful. Because yesterday even, I'm bringing Tamara up a lot. Tamara, you're amazing. She was talking about how she helps her client listen to themselves by making them wear headphones that silences everything around them. I think they're Bose or something. They
Okay.
just mute everything around you.
Interesting.
And she mentioned how some of her clients actually just start crying,
No way.
which made me want to try it.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
I mean,
That's
it's-
deep.
Oof. Like I do some crazy shit in my workshops with. I make people stare at each other
Okay.
because it's unhealthy and unnatural, and I think one of the reasons why us humans, I read this somewhere, I think we have a pupil in our eyes. It's not all black, or it's not all white. Is because us being able to tell each other where to go and what to do, to see there before having language. So us staring at each other for a long period of time can cause conflict, can cause alpha. Boom, boom, boom. Why are you staring at me?
Yeah.
So even
I've seen that study before.
Really?
Yeah, someone like they were just having people stare at each other, and it was crazy. Like in a lot of situations, I think it was some Netflix thing I watched. Like it brought people to tears. sometimes.
Wow.
Because they're just like, it's like you feel like you're looking into the person's soul. I've never done it personally, but I could imagine it. It's cool that you do it in your workshops. I could imagine it like creating a lot of empathy, you know, for the other person, like without words, without, you know, that deeper, I guess, understanding of who we are and what like, you and me mean to each other outside of all this stuff that goes in our heads type of thing. So yeah, it's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, man. It's just very true, man. It does create empathy, and it's very powerful because we don't give ourselves permission to go there. And we can hold a cat and look deep into their eyes. We can hold a baby and look deep into their eyes. We could look into the sky at night and have that cosmic connection. That's when we actually give ourselves permission to just be in that space without having to make sense out of it, without having to just
For sure.
be there. Because I realize I tell them in the first 2 or 3 minutes that
What happens when you do this?
people start laughing, because laughter is one of the ways to escape certain situations with the humor, being funny. So people start laughing, people just start talking to avoid that awkwardness of seeing themselves, because you end up seeing yourself. You start zoning out.
You start seeing yourself in the other person. Yeah, I can see how that would be true.
100%.
For sure. Because I think that's what it was about. The thing I saw was like people with two conflicting interests. Like one was a super hillbilly, and then one was like a Mexican or something. And like, I mean, he had issues, I guess, with his kind of people. So like as the study, they made them just stare at each other for 5 minutes. And I think that's what he said. He's like, I saw myself in him. He's like, I realized like we're all one type of thing. And he's like, I just wanted to give him a hug after. It was very powerful. Crazy.
I saw same experiment. Married couple that have been married for maybe 50, 60 years, that they said we never stared at each other's eyes. Ever. For 50 years.
Damn.
Imagine. And then she's like, I do stare at your eyes when I'm checking your blood or something. I was like, you go girl, you go girl. But it was amazing, Salah, man. I do this exercise regardless of the workshop. Like I used to do a workshop, a journey through your mind, back when I used to do life coaching like 5-6 years ago. And I used to do it then. And now I do it again in my workshops.
Cool.
For a specific reason, you know? I mean, confident on camera, one part of confidence is eye contact. That's just one part of the confidence part. So that's an excuse for me to try that exercise in the workshops, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember you told me about Wim Hof.
Yeah, Wim Hof breathing. I'm not like, honestly, it's one of my friends is he's like obsessed with this. He's like in this zone right now. Shout out to Dr. Sacco. He's like obsessed with these. He's really into these ways to like different ways of understanding things and approaching things for your wellness, I guess. So he's like into breathing techniques, like different types of meditation, all this stuff. And one day he brought up like Wim Hof, Iceman.
Yep.
He has these certain breathing techniques, and I think this fits into the stress reduction category. You can kind of use this in your infrastructure to reduce stress, and he has these breathing techniques that literally change your state. You know, it's kind of like meditation. It kind of changes your state once you get deep into it and you're done. It's kind of like a release, you know. And it was the same thing with one of Wim Hof's breathing exercises. I've been doing it every now and then. I did it this morning. It's cool. It's like a good way. It's in my morning. I mean, at some point, bro, when you're trying to level up, you really want to try to be a bit more strategic about your time, right? And how you're using it. So, like me personally, I've started, and it's helped a lot. Like I've started blocking off my mornings and my nights, like so 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the night, just to be completely like with myself, like no phone. And like at night I'm either writing or reading, just things that I know will be beneficial in the long term so I don't stress, you know. And then the same thing with the stuff in the morning, and one of those is either meditation or doing some yoga or this Wim Hof breathing exercise, and it's cool. It gets you like ready to go. Jack, look him up. Iceman, Wim Hof, beast.
Yo, I love it, man. I love the fact that explains a lot, man. Like you giving yourself 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. Doesn't really matter how long, but the fact that you acknowledge the fact that it matters to give yourself time. And it's a huge sign of self-love. I remember the first time I tried Wim Hof's exercises, I cried.
Really?
Wait, it was the second round.
Okay.
I did the first round. I was like, what the hell is
Some
this?
of them are intense. It's crazy the power that's in your breath. Like the power that breathing has.
Man,
it's crazy.
The reason I cried was because I realized that I had a superpower that I can use anywhere, anytime, without the need of anyone.
Okay.
The first time, I was watching a video on YouTube and I was on my lazy chair. I used to have a lazy chair right here. And I was sitting by myself at night around 9 p.m. I was like, let me give this thing a try. I've heard some of his podcasts. All right, Wim, let's do it. So I did it. He was coaching another dude, Lewis House. So he was coaching Lewis House.
Okay.
Shout out to Lewis House if you're watching this podcast.
Hey.
School of Greatness, baby. So.
I know who that is.
Yep.
That guy.
Yep. Wim Hof was on it too. So I tried this breathing exercise on the lazy chair. So you warm up your diaphragm, so you just open it up a little bit for 3 or 4 breaths, and then you start counting. You do a round of 20. And when I say breathing, I'm not talking about like Ujjayi breathing or any type of yoga breathing, because he doesn't really care about how you absorb the oxygen. He just cares about getting it in. So some yogis use their nose without their mouths. He just breathes.
Okay.
And he believes that we're able to we thought that the capacity of the body was 100% when it comes to the cells to oxygenate it. He realized that you can overdo it. Anyways, I tried it. Man, the first time I held my breath, so you breathe for 20 rounds, inhaling very hard and releasing with an exhale, meaning you're not going to release as much as good as you inhale. And then towards the last one, that's when after you inhale, and then you stop. And then you just start observing things that are happening in your body. The tinglings that are happening around your hands and feet.
That's the one that I'm doing. That's the exact one, yeah. It's crazy.
And then you realize the silence that's in your mind because the stillness.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy.
Cool.
It's beautiful.
It changes your state. Like, it's insane. It's crazy.
I miss it, man. I should do it.
And you can hold your breath. Like, I was timing myself the other day. You can hold your breath for a while, like way longer, because I haven't like read the science of it really, but it definitely gives you more oxygen than normal, than just holding your breath. When you do that, like the deep 20 inhale, exhale, and then you take that big breath, like, bro, I can hold my breath for literally I could swim the ocean with how long I can hold my breath. Like, I'll go underwater, I'll go diving with how long I can hold my breath. It's crazy.
Holding your breath normally will trigger your amygdala, which is your fight or flight, this chestnut piece in the back of your brain. And then your amygdala is like, I'm out, hey, hello, hey, I need oxygen. But when you're able to oxygenate your body to a point where it has enough, you won't even need to breathe. You realize after that exercise.
Interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah, and after that exercise, you realize that you're not breathing. You're talking, but you're not breathing. Your body's like, I'm good. So when you do this exercise, you realize that even in your feet and your toes, there are cells that the oxygen is getting there, and it hasn't been there in a while. So it feels so good, to just oxygenate every cell in your body. And then what happens? You alkaline your body. So then you realize that your tongue is moist. That's a very good sign of your body being alkaline or acidic. Your tongue your nervous system reprograms itself, so you're a completely different state, what you just said. And then I just started crying.
It's like, damn.
I was like, this is so good. Where were you for the past 30 years? That would run.
Seriously though, I mean, it's cool. And think about that. It's like, that's why I like things being more accessible for everyone. Like, you found that online. Like, it's crazy. You could never do that.
Exactly.
So many years ago.
And I think it's a disadvantage for women not to share it with the world. It's
Yep.
a disadvantage for everyone with something that they could share and they're keeping. I say this to my clients. I say this to my clients, man. You being afraid of the camera is selfish and a disadvantage of the world. How dare you know all of these things and keep them to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really, really interesting how just breathing can cure so many other things. Have you realized what the experiments he's done?
Who, Wim Hof?
Yo,
He's done a lot, man. Like, it's crazy. His track record is insane. He's definitely an expert in his field, you know? I like watching his videos and podcasts type of thing.
and after doing that, I was like, damn, is it just me? Let me try it with some friends. I tried it with my neighbor. It was around 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and I asked him to do it. He called me up 2 hours later. He sent me a message. I woke up the next day and saw it. He's like, man, I feel amazing. I tried it with my wife. It works. So it's something that actually works, man.
Yeah, and it's a big thing, like in Eastern like medications and stuff that they do. It's like it's a popular thing. Like, you can do so many. I can go to India and do so many different like breathing classes. Breathing, like they I think the East in its history, like they've spent a lot of time understanding the mind and the body. So it's like they're aware of these certain kind of practices that have been around for thousands of years, type of thing. So it's cool being able to harness that and use it to your benefit, for sure.
That's very true, man, because you talking, I was thinking about how Buddhist monks are able to manipulate the elements in their bodies through meditation. Their body temperature. Astronauts can do that too. Their heart rate, their digestive, their metabolism. So you're able to manipulate these elements in your body, which I think are fucking powerful tools to have.
Yeah, we're still figuring it out, man. I think there's a lot of stuff that we don't know that will slowly start to be uncovered, when it comes to all that kind of stuff. But they're definitely ahead on that spectrum. Would you ever be a monk? Would you ever do that?
To be on a mountain and wear an orange.
Yeah. I think it would just be so crazy to say you did that for a year, and it's like, halas, you go and you just commit yourself to this different environment, different style, way of living. Like, it would be intense.
It's intense, cool. But I think that being around people is way more intense. Yeah. Like, it's harder. Being alone can be easy. Living with your parents, like a guru once said, you think you're enlightened? Go and spend the weekend with your family. Like, yeah, it's easy to be nice to strangers, bro.
Yeah.
It's easy to see somebody in the street and be just smiling and give them a high five.
Yeah.
It's hard to go and tell someone you love, I love you. Although it's free, but it's hard. So I really think that, like, I've known so many yogis that did the Vipassana, which is a silent retreat, which you start with 10 days first, and then you do it again for 10 days. And then if you qualify, you'll do it for 20 days.
What's it called?
Vipassana. And they have centers all over the world. They even have a center in Abu Dhabi.
Really?
Yeah, I know a friend that went there. And that's pretty intense, bro. Like, the first 3 days, when I say silence, you don't even have a book and a pencil. Forget phone. Forget talking to anyone for 10 days. People are around you. You meditate for 2 hours, you rest for half an hour. You meditate for 2 hours, and you rest for half an hour. So you're with yourself. That's why isolation, when it comes to somebody going to jail, is the hardest place to be. Because you're only with your mind. And you keep distracting ourselves with Netflix, with music, with pornography, with whatever we need to not face what you just said, what we need to face in the eye. Which I think through meditation
for sure
would help, man.
Yeah. I would be interested to do something like that.
Yeah, man.
It sounds
you want to go do it?
Yeah, I'm down.
Damn.
I mean, I think like trying like practices, anything like I think it's important to try to do stuff outside of your comfort zone, you know, that you think could benefit you. Because, you know, like they say that, like, step out of your comfort zone, like that's where a lot of growth happens, and it's true. So I think that's a good little thing to place in your infrastructure for growth.
I'm gonna go back a little bit and talk about how you said create an environment that reduces stress.
Yes.
So it's not just one thing, it's literally creating a space for you to...
Yeah, an infrastructure.
An infrastructure.
So I think certain things like habits, routines that you put in place. And it's like your diet. It's trial and error. You try different things. But like I don't know, I started with like journaling and then reading more and doing, and you just start to, okay, like this helps reduce this, and then once you sit with yourself and try to see what you're really stressed about, you're like, okay, what can I do about it? Another big thing that I've been doing lately is like thinking of myself in third person. You know, even in my writing, even when I'm writing, like I write like I'm talking about Omar. You know, or like when you say you're writing and you're like, okay, Eid is doing this, and it kind of gives you this heightened perspective, and you view whatever situation you're in like a narrative. It's crazy what happens when you take I or me out of it, because you don't feel so attached to it anymore. You call it Omar, call it something else, and it's like you kind of see it. It helps you navigate it a little bit more, gain some perspective, and then kind of realize what he can do to overcome this and what the actual problem is. So that's one.
Beautiful, bro.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that, man.
It's cool.
I'm gonna definitely try that.
Yeah,
I used to write that for bios.
Okay.
For my bio, but like journaling in the third person sense, that's dope.
Yeah, it's cool. It really does help you look at things a little bit differently. Like it literally feels like a narrative. You're like, oh, and you go back and read it. You're like, I'm talking about myself here. It's goofy talking about yourself in third person, but I mean, I find it interesting as well. And
we live in an era, man, where you're able to see what Omar did 5 years ago, which I think is crazy. Like Seth Godin, he talks about that, like how he says you have to blog every single day.
This guy Seth Godin, he is goofy, man. I love his stuff. He's so goofy.
He's my favorite marketer.
Yeah, he's cool, man.
Like by far. But he talks about how you have to blog every single day, so you can look back and see how Omar was a year ago. What was Omar thinking about, you know?
Yeah.
So journaling.
Writing. Like,
do you do it every day?
Not every day, but just when I feel like it. Like when I feel like I need to. And it's like, I mean, I saw you here when I first came in. When you think of something, you write it down. And I think that's important. And like there's other exercise. It's a good release, and it helps you kind of actualize things. Because sometimes like you have these visions or you have these like epiphanies.
Yes.
You know, and it's like... Yes. It's good to write them down and kind of piece it together, maybe later or currently. Like, I think you should write these kind of things down because something's trying to tell you something, you know? And and even there's one dude, what was his name? I don't know, I'll think of it when it hits me, but I did this for a little bit, but it was like write down 10 ideas a day type of thing. And it kind of exercises your idea muscle. So it's like, okay, you write down 10 ideas a day, and then you do that for every day for, say, 5 months. It's like you can think of ideas like that. You've exercised it like you're exercising in the gym. And it's a good trait to have in this day and age. Everyone's looking for ideas. And like now, like the guy, I can't remember, James Altucher, that's who it is. It's like he was at his lowest point in life, and he just kind of reset. He was like, all right, like I lost all my money, like I got in this situation. What's one thing I can do just to kind of improve myself every day until I get out of the situation? He just started writing down ideas, like 10 ideas every day, building them. Then he got really good at having ideas for things, and then it turns out people ended up paying and are now paying him to have a seat in their table at their company, their business, and paying him for his ideas.
Wow. That's dope. I love that. Idea, man.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
Before we wrap it up, bro, what are 5 things you appreciate in your
5 things I appreciate in my life. It's a deep question. 5 things I appreciate.
5 things you're grateful for in your life.
I'm grateful for. Definitely waking up every day, because it's just another opportunity to be great, and that's a blessing. I think we forget that. Sometimes I try to think about that when I first wake up. I'm just like, I'm thankful for the bed I'm laying in, sheets, just opening my eyes, my body, being grateful for that. So definitely the gift of life. Second, family, for sure. For sure. I don't know where I would be without them. Man, I miss my mom. I miss my sister. I gotta see them soon. So life, family, friends, of course. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Life, family, and friends.
Appreciate you, man.
I think that fits into a bunch of other things as well. I appreciate you.
Habibi,
keep doing your thing.
Thank you, Habibi. I want to acknowledge you, man. I want to acknowledge how amazing you are as a human.
Thank you.
As a friend, as in general, I think you are powerful, you are real, you are grounded, you are giving, you are selfish and selfless.
Habibi.
And I can't wait to see everything you do, my man. I really, really do. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me, my brother. It's been fun.
That was such a good
Until next time.
All right, man. So this is your camera. If you have a message for the world that you want to say, 20 seconds, 1 minute, go for it. The camera is yours.
Read books. Read more books. What do you want me to say? That's what I would say. That's really what I would say. I'd be like, bro, pick up a book, please. That's what I would say to myself, because reading is important.
Reading is very, very important, my man. On that note, guys, keep reading, keep being amazing, and we'll see you in the other episode. Take care, guys. It was fun.
It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for a good time, and I came to groove. The whole band's here and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. I'm coming out the jacket cause we're turning up the heat. I wanna see you clapping when you get up out your seat. It's time to make it happen when we hit these streets. I'm coming in hot and I can't be beat. Watch out now. Baby, watch out now. Watch out. I'm on the move, I'm going up. I'm a man on a mission with no missions, and I'm looking for love. Oh, I'm just looking for love. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good, baby. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Last call for some alcohol, and don't forget to tip. The sun went down, but we still rolling. The band's still going, playing all the hits. I can't stop now, too legit to quit. I'm coming out the jacket cause we're turning up the heat. I wanna see you clapping when you get up out your seat. It's time to make it happen when we hit these streets. I'm coming in hot and I can't be beat. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out. I'm on the move, I'm going up. I'm a man on a mission with no missions, and I'm looking for love. Oh, I'm just looking for love. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good, baby. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. Everybody watch out.